So you've finished the main story in Pokemon Legends ZA, and now you want to really jump into ranked battles online. But you should probably EV your Pokemon first. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to EV your Pokemon and get them ranked ready. Now there's two main ways of doing this: fast with vitamins and slower with battling wild Pokemon. I'm going to go over IVs really quickly to give you a rundown to get the most out of your Pokemon. If this helped you, don't forget to like and subscribe and hype the video, because that's a thing now. Please just do it. First, let's talk about IVs. IVs, or individual values, are a range of stats that your Pokemon have when you catch it. There is an IV for each stat, and they range from 0 to 31. Since there is a change to confusion in this game and foul play is an attack in Legends ZA, mostly you want all these stats to be 31, but if you have a physical attacker, you don't have to worry about the special attack and vice versa. You can check these with the IV judge function you unlock after finishing the main story. You'll get it the next time you visit and heal at a Pokemon Center. To use this, all you have to do is go into the Pokemon stats in their summary or in the box and click down on the right thumbstick. Like I said, you don't have to worry about certain stats in this game, so you are just looking at whether it's best or not. Here's a scale for comparison. Thank you, Cerebi. Alpha Pokemon you catch and certain story Pokemon will automatically have 3 perfect IVs, and Alphas will have max HP EVs already given. They are easier targets in PvP due to their large size, so some players have actually stayed away from Alpha Pokemon in favor of smaller Pokemon with smaller hitboxes. Alpha Pokemon do also create a larger AoE attacks, so things like Earthquake and Surf from an Alpha Pokemon will create a bigger attack because they're a bigger Pokemon. There's an interesting set of pros and cons when it comes to using Alpha Pokemon and PvP. I'd love to know what you think about this. Do you still use Alphas in PvP, or do you stay away from them? What if you have a Pokemon that you want to use, but it doesn't have good IVs? Well, you go to Hyper Training. Hyper Training can be found inside the Justice Dojo in the Johnny District. Here you can exchange bottle caps and golden bottle caps for maxing out IVs. This only works when the Pokemon is over level 50, so I would recommend doing the EV training first, especially if you're battling wild Pokemon, because you will level up in that process. The regular bottle cap will change just one stat, while the golden bottle cap maxes out all 6 of them. You'll earn some of these bottle caps as rewards from Mabel and during some side missions, but after that you'll get them at random from the Infinite Royale. What's the quickest way to get more? I don't know. The Infinite Royale is the only way to get them so far, but if you found a good method, let me know in the comments down below. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about EV training. First, let's talk about the fast way, which is the vitamins. There are 6 vitamins in the Pokemon games, 1 for each respected stat of a Pokemon. Each vitamin will give you 10 EV points in that given stat. These will be available for purchase at Pokemon Centers for about 5,000 apiece. I don't remember if you have to progress to a certain point in the story for these to become available in the Pokemon shops, but I believe if you're midway or close to the end, if you've unlocked the IV Judge function, you should have them in the Pokemon Center shops. HP up increases HP, protein increases attack, iron increases defense, calcium increases special attack, zinc increases special defense, and carbos increases speed. It's worth noting that if you have never EV trained before, the max you can put into one individual stat of a Pokemon is 252 points, while the max you can put into a Pokemon in total is 510, but at level 50, only 508 will actually change a stat point wise. So if you're going to max out on 2 stats, 252 is what we call it, you'll need 26 vitamins for each stat that you're going to max out, which would cost you a total of 260,000 Pokédollars. So if you want to add those last 4 EVs with a vitamin, then the total goes to 265,000 1,000 Pokédollars. If you don't want to waste a vitamin on the last 2 or 4 points, you can also use feathers that you pick up on the ground throughout Lumiose City. These are picked up at random throughout all the shiny objects you see on the ground, so how many you have is mostly luck and how often you go after the shiny objects on the ground. Each feather will add 1 EV point to your Pokemon, so these are really meant for fine-tuning and adjusting. Don't try to fully EV a Pokemon on feathers alone, unless you have hundreds. The health feather increases HP, the muscle feather increases attack, the resist feather increases defense, the genius feather increases special attack, the clever feather increases special defense, and the swift feather increases speed. Now that we've talked about the quick items for EV training, let's talk about doing it the old-fashioned way. Now, if you play through the story, you might have noticed that your Pokemon will get EVs as you play. This is because each Pokemon you battle has an assigned EV value that is given to your Pokemon when you knock out or catch that Pokemon. For example, Ghastly, which is common in Wild Zone 4, gives 1 special attack EV for every one you knock out. Now, this doesn't seem like a lot. That's because we can increase this with power items. These are items that you can receive 1 of each from different side missions, but towards the end of the game, you can also buy them from Quasartico Inc. for 180 Mega Shards. So you can get more than 1 of these power items and EV multiple Pokemon at the same time with them. When these items are held by Pokemon, their speed is decreased by 50%, but it adds an extra 8 additional EV points per respective stat every time you earn 1. The power weight increases HP, the power bracer increases attack, the power belt increases defense, the power lens increases special attack, the power band increases special defense, and the power anklet increases speed. So that same Ghastly from Wild Zone 4, giving you 1 special attack EV, while your EV trained Pokemon is holding the power lens, they will receive 9 special attack EVs instead of just the 1. Get 1 from the Ghastly and then the additional 8 from the power lens. It's important to note that the Pokemon holding the band does not have to be the one that knocks out the Pokemon. It just has to be in your party to receive the EVs and hold the power item to get that 8 EV bonus. Now you might be asking, how am I going to know which Pokemon to knock out? Well, you can do what I did and look it up a Pokemon on Cerebi and see what EVs it gives, or you can just continue to sit here and listen to me for just a little bit longer. I'll try to focus on the lower level Pokemon that are common because they have decent respawn rates and are quick to knock out, making this a quicker process. For HP, 1 HP EV is given from Skiddo in Wild Zone 3, Snorunt in Wild Zone 12, and Slowpoke in Wild Zone 10 and 11. If you want to do the 2 EVs, you can do Diggersby in Wild Zone 17, Stunfisk and Wild Zone 11, and Kangaskhan in Wild Zone 19. For attack, with 1 EV point for attack, you can do Pancham in Wild Zone 3, Spinarak in Wild Zone 4, Bellsprout in Wild Zone 5 and all over the rooftops, Sandile in Wild Zone 8, and Snowbird in Wild Zone 12. I didn't mention any 2 EV attack Pokemon because I feel like between those 5 Pokemon, they are very common. You should be able to knock out enough in one loop. For defense EVs, giving you 1 defense EV, you have Scatterbug in Wild Zone 1, you have Hippopotas in Wild Zone 7, you have Aeron in Wild Zone 14, and Punkaboo in Wild Zone 15. If you want 2 defense EVs, you can do Kakuna in Wild Zone 2 and 7. For special attack, these Pokemon give you 1 special attack EV, that's Ghastly in Wild Zones 4 and 7, Litleo in Wild Zone 3, Kalancher in Wild Zone 11, Vanillite in Wild Zone 7 and 12. For special defense, giving you 1 special defense EV is Filebe in Wild Zone 3, and honestly, all around the city of Lumiose, just check the flowers, and Skrelp in the sewers, For 2 special defense EVs, you can do Floette in Wild Zone 7 and Dragalge in Wild Zone 20. For speed EVs, you can get 1 speed EV from Fletchling in Wild Zones 1, 3, and 5 and throughout the city, Bunnelby in Wild Zone 1 and 5, Pidgey in Wild Zone 1 and 5 and also throughout the city, Weedle in Wild Zone 1, Magikarp in Wild Zone 2 and 6, and basically anywhere there is water outside of the wild zones. For 2 speed EVs, you can just hit up that Pikachu in Wild Zone 3. Special defense has a small amount, but Flabebe is found all around the map near flowers. I gave more than 1 choice for each stat because you have to wait for these Pokemon to respawn after knocking them out. Each Pokemon has their own respawn rate. This isn't like previous Pokemon games where you can just keep spawning Pokemon non-stop and just knock out the ones that are going to give you the right EV points. So listing multiple gives you a way to rotate around different wild zones and hit these spawns, and hopefully by the time you return to the first one, these Pokemon have respawned. With the appropriate power item and knocking out a 1 EV Pokemon, it will take 28 knockouts to have a max 252 stat. If you want a certain amount of EVs in a certain stat that's not 252, the math is on you. One thing I will note about speed EVs is the cooldown benchmarks. According to a video from Grimsley on TikTok, I can't believe I'm citing TikTok as a source of information. I'm way too old to be doing that, but this is where I found this information. At least they also credit other people, so I'll have a link to the video in the description. But every point that you have into your speed stat above 25 takes off 1.8 frames from the cooldown. The lowest a cooldown can be is 3 seconds, so if you have a priority attack like Ice Shard, Aqua Jet, or Quick Attack, they're always going to be a 3-second cooldown. So with a speed stat of 125, you are cutting off 3 seconds from the cooldown. So a attack with a 9-second cooldown becomes a 6-second cooldown. This is pretty important in the PvP because you want to be able to use your attacks as often as possible. Here's the chart from Grimsley breaking down the second intervals where you see the speed stat and how much time you're going to save. Remember, the limit is going to be 3 seconds. So for example, if all your moves for some reason are 6-second cooldowns, you don't have to put your Pokemon over a 125 speed. Why is this important? Because you can take those extra EV points once you hit that speed benchmark and put them into other things like bulk. Now, after watching all of this, you might already have a Pokemon in mind that you want to EV train. You might also want to like and subscribe. But what happens if this Pokemon already has EVs, or something that I commonly do? How do you fix a mistake that you've made during EV training? How do you remove EVs you don't want? Well, there's one of 2 ways of doing this. It really comes down to how many EVs you need to remove. If you want to totally wipe out all of the Pokemon's EVs and start them at 0, then you need to go to the Rust Syndicate's office and talk to the person at the desk with the Sneasel statue. They will wipe out 1 Pokemon's EVs for 5 Mega Shards, which is honestly a pretty good deal with how often you can farm Mega Shards. If you just need to adjust, fine-tune, or remove EVs from one stat, then you want EV reducing berries. Each berry will remove 10 EV points from a certain stat. Think of them as reverse vitamins. But these can be found on the ground or bought from a berry stall in the Magenta Sector 6 for 200 Pokédollars each. There's also herb stands that sell nature mints that are pretty important to getting your mon ready, but they're spread out all throughout the city, so just please look that up on CRB. For the berries though, you will need a different berry depending on which stat you want to decrease. The Pomeg berry is for HP, the Kelpsea berry is for attack, the Qualot berry is for defense, the Hondu berry is for special attack, the Gripa berry is for special defense, and the Tomato berry is for speed. After you've done all this, you should be ready to go after the best of the best in online battles. Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments down below. Hopefully I actually made a team of 3 in this process of creating this video, because I just used the 3 playthrough mons to get the Greninjite Stone in Season 1, but I'm hoping to push for rank A in the next season. If this video helped you out, don't forget to like and subscribe, hype up the video. Let me know in the comments down below which Pokemon do you want to EV train first. Until next time, I'm Zach, and I'll see you in the next one.